Yeah. Okay. Is it on? Okay, we're going to learn about how to solve absolute value inequalities. Now, really, all this is a combination of solving absolute value equations and solving compound inequalities. Because absolute value inequalities, just like equations, you have to write how many equations did you have to write for absolute equations? Two. You're going to have to write two inequalities here. And so it's going to become a compound. It's going to be an and or an or. Okay, we're going to start off with something very simple. The absolute value of x is less than 2. Who thinks they know which numbers this would be? What was that? Say that really again. Henry. The part before that, Andrea. You know, I don't hear Andrea hardly say anything all year, and then she yells out nothing. So I don't. Okay. I have to strain to hear her. Okay. And the thing I don't want to hear, she yells out at me. So. All right. Okay. Here's how it goes, you guys. Anybody tell me a number that would work in here? 1. If I put 1 in here and took the absolute value of it, is 1 less than 2? Yeah. Give me another number.
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity? Yeah. Give me a big negative number. Negative 100? Yeah. If I put in negative 100, take the absolute value, I'd get positive 100. Hey, wait, you guys. The talking's got to stop. Okay? Let's listen now. Okay? It's been going too much today. Okay, if I put negative 100 in here, took the absolute value, I'd get a positive 100. Is 100 less than 2? No. Okay, give me another number. 0. 0 would work. The absolute value of 0, 0 is less than 2. True. What else? That's it? How about negative 1 you said and positive 1? That will work. What about 1.5? What about negative 1.5? What about 2.5? What about negative 2.5? So if I was to graph, what would the graph look like? What would you think the graph would look like? Open circles at negative 2 and positive 2? Which way would I be going? In between? Wait. So negative 1 is less than 2, absolute value. Okay, so we have the numbers in between. So you think this is an and statement? Because the numbers outside don't work. Yeah. How would I write the two inequalities that would represent this? Well, what would be my two inequalities that would represent this thing right here? X is greater than negative 2, and x is less than 2, right? Those would be my two inequalities. Okay. I want you to know this right here. If it is a less than, then it's going to be an and statement. Okay? A less than is going to be an and statement. And your two inequalities are going to be, you're going to get them by dropping the absolute value sign and just writing the inequality without the absolute value sign. And the other one, you're going to get by changing the inequality sign the other direction and making that number to the right negative. Okay? That's how it's going to work. Got it? Okay, now we can make it a little bit more complicated now. Well, let's say I have the absolute value of 2x minus 6 is less than or equal to 4. What are the two inequalities I can write? Is this an and or an or statement? It's an and statement. Why do you say that, Carly? Because it's a less than, so it is an and statement. What's my two inequalities? Based on what I just taught you in the last one. Give me the whole inequality. 2x minus 6 to 4, and 2x minus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, what are the two things I changed? The inequality sign, instead of being less than, it's greater than, and the 4, instead of being positive, it's negative. Does everybody got that? Okay, so, well, if we back up right here, remember you guys came up with this. You guys found out that numbers outside that aren't going to work, right? You found out that all numbers where x is less than 2 and x is greater than negative 2 work. In other words, change the sign to do that, and so it gave us a pattern to follow right here. And so we have to change the inequality sign direction from less than to greater than, and from positive 4 to negative 4 for that very reason, okay? And now we have to just solve these like in the compound inequality. So it becomes compound inequality, just doing it like last time. What am I going to do to both sides? Add 6, and I'm going to get 2x is less than or equal to 10. Divide by 2, and I'm going to get x is less than or equal to 5, right? Over here, add 6, I'm going to get 2x is greater than or equal to 2. Divide by 2, and I'm going to get x is greater than or equal to 1. I did that fast because we've already done those. It's an and statement. If I graph it, what are we going to get? All numbers between so does it include 1 and 5? It includes 1 and 5. And you can see x has got to be a number less than 5, but at the same time greater than 1. So it's all those numbers in between. The interval would be 1, 5 with brackets, right? Any questions about that? Okay, so is this the same what we've been doing? Okay, we're just combining two ideas, absolute value equations and compound inequalities. Okay, going on to the next, let's go on, and now, once again, if you have numbers outside the absolute value on the same side as the absolute value, what do you have to do? You have to get the absolute value by itself on one side first. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so if I had something like this, if I had something like that, you would have to get the absolute value by itself first, okay? I would have to add 2 to both sides. And then what? Divide by negative 6. And if I do that, what happens to the absolute values? What happens to the sign? Inequality sign. Oh, yeah. Negative 10. Okay, now I divide by a negative number, so what do I do right here? I change the signs, inequality sign. Now it becomes a greater than. Don't worry about solving this one any further, because I'm going to talk about when it's greater than now. Okay, so let's say I gave you something like this. Let's say I give you something like that. Okay? Or maybe I should even back up further than that. Should I back up further than that? Or do you think you can handle this? I think you guys can handle this. Okay. What do you think my two inequalities would be? 2x minus 8 greater than 10. Or. Why do you think it's or? Okay. If it's greater than, it's an or statement. Or what? Or what? Yeah, once again, you have to change the inequality sign and make that opposite negative, okay? So, to solve these, we add 8 to both sides, divide by 2, x is greater than 9. Or, add 8 to both sides, divide by 2, and we get x is less than negative 1, or greater than 9. If we graph this, let's say this is negative 9. Let's say that's 0. There's negative 1. What's this one going to look like? Hollow or solid circle right here? I knew that. Hollow or solid? Which way? Hollow or solid? Which way? Okay, there you go. What's the intervals for this? Negative infinity to negative 1, or 9 to infinity. Okay. Think you guys can do this? Okay. Now, this assignment will be due next time. So, for some reason you're not going to be here, you need to bring it in early. But you want to be here because we're taking a quiz. If you miss that, you're going to miss a bunch of points on your grade. Okay? All right. And so let me kind of review before I give you the assignment of what's going to be on your quiz. You're going to have to solve absolute value equations, compound inequalities, absolute value inequalities, and do some of these story problems on here. You got it? That is what's going to, and you can use your notes. That is what's going to be on your quiz on Tuesday, okay? And let's see, what else were we going to turn in on that day? We're going to turn in the pamphlet, the story problems. We are going to turn in the quiz and this assignment. So those are other things that are going to go on your grades. Okay.